A revelation shall visit thee. What follows thereafter depends upon you.
Since the day Father his form did obscureth, I have awaited thee. Indeed, we had felt the warmth of fire, its radiance and the life it sustaineth. Succeed, Lord Gwyn, and inheriteth the fire of our world. Thou shalt endeth this eternal twilight, and avert further undead sacrifices.
Welcome to the lost city of Anor Londo, chosen undead.
Talk, 'tis no good. No one home, everyone gone.
This man is a threat, Master Gwendolyn.
May thou be one with the sunlight forevermore.
Cometh soon.
In Lordran, there is a beacon, a shining city that is walled away from the rest of the dying world, where the sun always shines and the princess awaits. Anor Londo not only glows in its rays of sunshine, but in its level design, environmental storytelling, and visual grandeur. It is the king of From Software Souls levels, promoting a variety of challenges, narrative intrigue, secrets for players to discover, and a host of important and influential characters. Since Dark Souls 1, there hasn't been anything to match Anor Londo's ability to capture the essence of Souls gameplay and narrative design into one single level. No level has reached the same heights as the Lost City of the Gods, and this is why Dark Souls 1 still matters. This is the City of the Gods and was once home to the Great Lord Gwyn, his family, and council. This is where the highest caste members of society lived, the literal gods of the world that Gwyn played a part in creating. Anor Londo is the shining example of Gwyn's Age of Fire as a direct opposite to the stagnant and gray fog present during the Age of Ancients. It's where the sun always shines, or so we are led to believe. Anor Londo is reached by the chosen undead once they traverse the proving grounds of Sen's fortress. They are carried upwards by the bat-winged demons who fly them over the imposing wall to reveal the glorious city above. Here the chosen undead reach the final step of their initial pilgrimage, where they fight Ornstein and Smough as the last obstacle to obtaining the Lord Vessel received from Guinevere. Prior to reaching the city, the chosen undead have been to the depths of Lordran, and now they find themselves at its very peak, while reaching their heights of strength and power as well. Besides having a great importance and representation for Gwyn, the ruler of Lordran, we also meet many important characters who reside here, such as Gwendolyn, Ornstein and Smough, Guinevere's Illusion, the Blacksmith Giant, and the Darkmoon Knightess. We also see some of the most recognizable and iconic fellow undead in Dark Souls, with Solaire and Siegmeyer along their continued quests. Some of these important characters are also in the form of bosses Dark Sun Gwendolyn and Ornstein and Smough. While there is plenty of lore, backstory, and detail about the characters that reside here, there isn't too much in the way of item descriptions that reveal more about the city itself. It is simply the land of the gods, and that's all one really needs to know in order to understand its importance. The resonance the level has with me personally is not through item descriptions, but the experience of playing the level itself. It excels in its ability to test the increased player's skill and determination to pursue despite the odds. It may not be the final test, but it's where all the lessons learned from the start come together in one package. The game doesn't need to state Anor Londo's importance to the gameplay and player growth, it shows it. When looking at the level design more closely, it is a culmination of what makes the game so fantastic. In many ways, it is the thesis or main argument for the game's fundamental gameplay and level design. It's where all the characteristics of Dark Souls 1 specifically fit within one level, such as a great opening cutscene, testing and showcasing player progression and skill, promoting careful traversal and problem solving, offering secrets for players to discover, interconnected level layouts, and ending on an imposing boss fight. Starting with the opening cutscene, it sets the stage for the level's importance from a narrative and gameplay perspective. It contrasts the lowly settlements and gloomy swamps below. The music roars as the undead is flown to the top to receive a gorgeous view of the Golden City. The city is unlike anything we have encountered below, and this cutscene does well to highlight the city's majesty. The build-up to get here has been immense through ringing both bells and making it through Sen's fortress, making the payoff all the more satisfying. One of the first obstacles one might encounter is the first gargoyle enemy standing guard over the main bridge. Here is likely the first encounter most players have when a boss becomes a normal enemy, showing their strength and progression in their skill and power. A once imposing boss is now an average roadblock for the player, a trend that would continue in future titles. Another challenge the player will find themselves in is traversing the rafters of the building next to the bridge to reach the rotating bridge platform. This section promotes careful traversal and navigating the thin platforms while painting guardians close in on the player. The rafters being just wide enough to cross with painting guardians being somewhat unpredictable in how they attack makes for some hilarious and frustrating encounters on repeat playthroughs. The most notorious section might have to go to facing down the dual archers as the undead traverses the buttresses of the main cathedral. The two archers have generated many frustrated players and still do to this day. This makes for one of the most challenging encounters due to the thin platforming, Batwing demons adding more pressure from behind, and with the archer's arrows being able to easily knock the player off to their death. This section requires careful timing and a lot of skill. The two methods that tend to work best is getting up close to the knight on the right and parrying them to kill or push them off, or playing the long game and poisoning them both with arrows. Some might argue these two are the true boss of the level. The light and dark function of the city by killing Guinevere's illusion is a great secret that shows the city's true nature. By removing the illusion, the city is now dark with a dim moon looming over the lonely spires. Many of the enemies such as the sentinels and Batwing demons have disappeared. This shift implies the city's original presentation is an allusion to its true nature and perhaps the true nature of the world as a whole. The interconnected design of Dark Souls 1 shines in Anor Londo like many of the previous levels. Each obstacle pass presents a new bridge or door that can function as a pseudo-checkpoint so players do not have to traverse them again on subsequent deaths. The main highlights include the traversal through the main bridge with the rotating elevator platforms and reaching the cathedral's double door. From the main bonfire, this makes for a straight shot to the boss, of which most will die to them plenty of times. Ornstein and Smough are what many consider to be the most difficult boss in the base game. This fight would also introduce the multi-phase fights that would follow the series in later titles. Killing either Ornstein or Smough will cause the other to absorb their power, gaining their full health, new lightning moves, and a big boy stature. While maybe not the most mechanically enjoyable fight, for many players this was likely the last boss that would make or break their first run. The discourse and fond memories around this fight today is because it is where many players got good. Besides the variety of challenges presented to the player in this level, it marks their growth and the narrative's growth. For many, this is the end of Dark Souls 1's excellent first two-thirds of the game. Unfortunately, the game suffers a bit after this section in terms of level design. Anor Londo can be seen as saving the best for last. It's where the narrative and player reach their peak. The chosen undead and the player have grown in their skill and have learned their lessons along the way. The level is one of the highest locations physically in the game, rivaled only by the Duke's Archives. The fact that we end our initial pilgrimage in the highest tower talking to the beautiful princess is all rather on the nose to show our ascension. Anor Londo also encapsulates all the lessons of previous levels. The precarious walkways were originally learned through Blighttown and Sens. We need to watch our step, especially when enemies are tight-roping as we are. There are quite a few mimics that can be found here, serving as a gotcha for the player's hasty greed when spotting a chest. By now, players learn to inspect chests before opening, at least some of us. Careful planning is needed in order to deal with the archers as mentioned earlier. It shows that sometimes the bosses may not be the most difficult aspect of a level. Due to the enemies mostly being Silver Knights, attacking enemies one at a time is ideal, and we even see this lesson in play when helping Siegmeyer. Also, the invasion mechanics are touched on when dealing with Lautrec, even if the player is offline. Anor Londo is a culmination of many lessons learned in previous sections to show the player of their full growth in combat, planning, and traversal. Some of us, myself included, had many of the lessons click in this very location. It's where I got much better at parrying and backstabbing thanks to the Silver Knights, as well as being on the lookout for illusory walls and other secrets. After all, there is more than meets the eye when it comes to this level. Despite having very little lore through item descriptions surrounding the level, there are many secrets that hint at the past and present of this once great city. The illusory wall behind the fireplace in the first room past the first bonfire in the main cathedral houses Havel's armor and the Occult Club, generating plenty of speculation as to what this can mean over the years with the plot to kill the gods. As mentioned earlier, Dark Anor Londo makes for a great Easter egg where the true nature of the city is revealed to be dark and ominously quiet. Where one player might have thought they were being silly by throwing a knife or shooting an arrow at Guinevere, they just so happened to fuck things up, so to speak. This happened to me on my third or so playthrough, where I thought I was being cheeky and didn't think anything would happen, and lo and behold, I messed up big time. This is also where I discovered the Gwendolyn boss fight. While not my favorite fight, Gwendolyn is a fascinating character. They are arguably one of the best secrets of the game, since their existence presents many lore implications that could make for a 3-hour video on its own. The other fantastic secret is the painting world, which is another excellent level in terms of design, much like Anor Londo. What all these secrets offer is incentivizing a return to the city or offering new experiences on subsequent playthroughs. I, like many others, didn't find everything on my first go-around, which is why discovering these secrets for the first time made for some great moments. It left me with a, wait, there's even more stuff here, kind of reaction that stuck with me ever since. Besides the mechanical design, the visual design of Anor Londo is one of my favorites. It does well to make the player feel small. The stairs that are meant for humans and those that are meant for gods/giants are a nice touch, along with everything in the city being proportioned much larger to fit the original god population. It all adds to the grand nature of the level with its sense of scale. We are ants in this massive city of which we only explore a fraction of. It also perfectly contrasts the desolation and ruin of previous levels, even if it is all an illusion. It offers a glimpse into what life in the City of the Gods was like during the heights of the Age of Fire. It shows that the world was once beautiful and magnificent before becoming the hollow shell as we find it. Even when the illusion is dispelled, the city maintains its grand nature. It presents a sad or somber feeling to see the great city empty and dark. The single moon is just as beautiful like the sun that was once in its place, the sun being the representation of the glory of the previous role, and the moonlight version of the city representing Gwendolyn's shadow rule, and perhaps of what the true course of nature is leaning towards. Anor Londo shines all the same whether that's beneath the sun or under the moon. Anor Londo is where the game clicked for me. It's where I became a much better player and learned from the lessons the game was trying to communicate and the challenges prior. It's where the game's visual design really started to resonate with me, as I've always appreciated the Gothic cathedral style of architecture. Inspired by the Milan Cathedral in Italy, Anor Londo's cathedral sports the trademark spires and ornate buttresses. There's something I find so awe-inspiring and oddly metal about this design. I've always appreciated the windows throughout the level as well, with my favorites being the large stained glass window that adorns the top of the cathedral and those that line Gwendolyn's boss room. The inclusion of the beds and living quarters types rooms offer a more intimate touch on how royalty once lived here. It all feels like a tour through a historical museum rather than trespassing through someone's bedroom. The calm and quiet ambience of both the light and dark version of the city add to that silent, stuffy art gallery vibe. Our footsteps echoing as we walk the marble floors only highlight this further. With no docents to tell us who these paintings might depict or what Guinevere's morning routine was like, we are left to put the pieces together ourselves. What also sticks with me is the cutscene being lifted to the city by the Batwing demons. It's my favorite cutscene in the game and one of my favorites in the series. The cutscene basically shows this is the climax of the game, and the most important location without having to state it directly. On my first playthrough, it was a complete shock to see this gorgeous city above the various shitholes I trudged through. I honestly didn't think this location was even possible given the grim design of previous levels. With all this in mind, no other level has done it for me like Anor Londo. Some might have great visual design, interconnectivity, or a good boss fight, but very few encapsulate that all in one package for me. Leyndell from Elden Ring might be the closest to match Anor Londo, but I find that it doesn't make me feel the same feelings of grandiosity and foreboding as Anor Londo does. Anor Londo isn't just pretty, it's ominous, it's oddly quiet and empty. It has a simplistic nature that can only be felt in older Souls games. It also houses so many secrets that aren't explicit in dialogue or even item descriptions, allowing for loads of player speculation. The painting world, the dark reality of the level, the occult weapons, the fact that much of the level and enemies are an illusion, and the existence of Gwendolyn offers so many avenues for theory crafting to this day. Ultimately, Anor Londo to me is saving the best of what the game has to offer for last. It's where everything that makes Dark Souls 1's level design come together in one great package. While it's not the last level of the game, it's clear that it was the last section where the vision of interconnectivity and progression were at the forefront. Following levels are clearly showing signs of running out of development time and needing to crunch, which the series is no stranger to. Anor Londo might be the highest point in Lordran, but more importantly, it might just be the highest point in the series. It's the king of levels because it houses everything that makes Dark Souls 1 and the series great, and that hasn't been surpassed in my view, which is why, in an ever-growing series of From Software Souls games, Dark Souls 1 still matters. I know well that not every level can be or should be like Anor Londo, as that's the whole point. but when an Anor Londo adjacent level comes around again, I'll be sure to take in all of its incandescence for as long as I can. There might even be an amazing chest there as well. Thanks for watching. If you have any additional insights or fond memories of Anor Londo, I'd love to read them in the comments below. I always enjoy seeing the different perspectives of other players and what sticks out to them personally. If you have a different King of Souls levels, feel free to share those as well. Why does that level resonate with you to this day? If you like my thoughts on Souls games and other video game titles from time to time, subscribe if you're new here, as well as give the video a like if you got something out of it. Thank you for watching, and may thou be one with the sunlight forevermore. Take care.